Hey, so we are in a series right now called It's Complicated. Turn to the person beside you and say, it's complicated. It's complicated. We're talking about relationships. It's complicated. Check out on the screen up here, we've got, do you know that's actually 4 concentric circles? Kind of messes with you, doesn't it? The longer you look at it, the harder it is to place a finger on what's going on. It's kind of the same with relationships. It seems sometimes you think you've got a grasp on it only to realize that it's more confusing than you initially thought. Relationships are complicated. And there are no experts in relationships, but we do want to take time to converse and to talk about some of the things that matter to us all when it comes to relationships. And so tonight, we're going to ask a couple questions of Kenneth and Anjali Marshall. Would everyone show some love to Kenneth and Anjali tonight? How long have you guys been married?
Almost 2.5 years.
Almost 2.5 years. That's awesome. So you guys are savvy old veterans. You've got this thing down. You've learned everything there is to know about relationships, and now we're sitting at the feet of your tutelage. It's crazy. 2.5 years. If you ask them, they would say 2 things. 1, it's gone by so fast. 2, it feels like it's been our whole life. It's amazing how that kind of works with good things. It goes by quick, but it feels like it's been forever. So throughout this series, we've been given opportunity for people to ask questions. So they're texting in questions. In fact, if you have a question tonight, we would love to do our best to answer it over the next couple of weeks. And you can text 72345. Text a question. Include this word in it, Oasis LA, all one word. And we're going to do our best to answer as many as we can. But we thought we would ask a couple questions to you guys tonight. Are you excited? You looking forward to it?
Let's do it.
All right. First question here. Can I be on Tinder? Is that bad?
You don't want to take that one? Is Jesus on Tinder? It's just, I don't want to over-spiritualize it. I realize that it's a different age, but at the same time, I think that love is something that is eternal. There's a reason so many singers have made careers off of singing off of it. I feel like if you have the guidance of the Holy Spirit, then swiping left, swiping right, seeing who matches my like, who doesn't like my like, whose bullet points I don't think that's where my wife was or my wife is. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know everything, but I just don't think that is going to be a better idea than asking the Holy Spirit to prepare you for the person that you're asking for and to prepare them. Because the chances are, if guy or girl, if there's someone who is on an app right now and is just swiping left and swiping right and swiping left and swiping right, I have no idea how many people are swiping left and swiping right. But the thing is, they're probably not that selective. I don't think Instagram is the model to find a mate.
Okay. But is it bad? Question, is it okay to be on Tinder or is it bad?
Bad is a very relative term. It is. It's very fluid, right?
Don't quote just that, okay? Here's what I learned in church tonight. Bad is relative. I used to think I was bad. Now I'm really bad. No, it's not like that.
Honestly, I always ask the question, is that what God asked me to do? Is that what he asked me to do? He did not tell me my husband was on Tinder, so I mean, we didn't have Tinder. Everybody knows what Tinder is, right? A lot of people don't know what Tinder is, so it's
So Tinder is a dating app. This is going to be informative. Someone's like, man, I got to get that app. Where's that app? Tinder's a dating app.
Somebody's downloading it right now.
There are 40 million plus users on Tinder across America, and I believe the premise of the app is that you get sent photos of people, and if you like, you're like, I'm going to swipe right. If you don't, you swipe left. And if you both like each other's photo, it's like you have just made a match. The interesting thing, and the reason why this is such a relevant question, is an overwhelming majority of people who are single today believe that the internet is a more reliable source to meet someone than a friend or a family member who suggests someone. Now, if you've got friends and family members that are suggesting people that bad, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, this great guy at work, you're going to love him, and then you meet him, and you're like, do you hate me? Right? What did I ever do to you? I think what you say is good. Is this what Jesus asked me to do? The Bible, there's this statement the Apostle Paul makes. everything's permissible, but not everything is beneficial. And I think it's probably a question that needs to be asked is this benefiting me? Putting a picture of myself out there that is either getting momentary affirmation or disqualification. Is this benefiting me? Is this really helping feed into my self-perception and my value? I believe that everyone's got a story, and so everyone's going to meet someone some way. And so I'm not saying you can't meet people online, but if you are putting all your hope in getting swiped right or swiped left, you might be missing a moment that could be so much more valuable for you. And the other thing I would say is generally speaking, what's done on the internet in the seclusion of your room late at night, it's not really real. That's not really forcing anyone to initiate or to make a move or to step up. And you might not be that excited with what you get. So Tinder might tell you it's a match, but you might meet that person and go, this wasn't really what I thought, because it didn't cost anything and it didn't take any effort. Hey, let's get to another question. This is an interesting question. Is a Christian woman unattractive to a Christian man if she's never been in a long-term relationship? So somebody's asking the question, do I have less potential of having a good relationship with a Christian man if I haven't already been in a long-term relationship?
I think that can depend. I think if someone has never been in a long-term relationship, you just may have not felt, if you're led by the Spirit, you're a Christian woman being raised that way, you may not have felt led to be in a relationship. Yeah. At the same time, if you've been in relationships and none of them have lasted long, that may be a different situation. I think the question more is a case-by-case situation that may apply to one person and one situation that they were in, but I don't think as a Christian man, if I'm looking at a woman like, oh, you haven't dated enough. I don't know if that's like on my list. She has to have dated this many guys. That might just be me, but as a dude, I'm not putting, yeah.
And the last time I checked, dating 25 different people in a year is probably not something that a man would want in a woman anyway.
Definitely not.
And there you have it, wisdom from the 6 p.m. service.
Yeah,
I think this question to me sounds like someone's very particular story. Is there something wrong with me because I haven't already had a long-term relationship under my belt, so to speak? Do I need to just get one long-term relationship out of the way so I can get to the next one? And I really don't think, that's the case at all. What I wonder if there's not people who feel bad about their own baggage, and so when they meet someone else with no baggage, so to speak, they say, well, it's just too much. I've been in relationships and it's too much baggage. But really, when we look to Jesus, and I think Michelle put it so beautifully during worship, he makes all things new. We become a new creation. And so I don't think that that's something that you should hold as a negative in your life at all. Yeah, Kenneth?
I think if we're being real, which we like to do here, it sounds like something a guy told a girl who didn't understand, I don't want to be with you. If we're keeping it real, it's just like you don't understand that. Okay, I have to come up with a reason because clearly you don't understand. It's just not this. You haven't dated enough. Maybe that'll work.
Right. Which leads to a whole other list of issues.
It leads to a whole other list of issues, like Anjali says. And if you're a guy out there and you're in that position where you say this just isn't going to happen, just be really honest. Be gentle. Be kind. But be honest, because you could send that poor young lady into years of trying to figure out how to solve a problem that wasn't even really the problem. It wasn't even really the issue. Let's be more truthful, more honest with it. This question's a great question. I'm going to ask Anjali if you could help us with this. My girlfriend of 4 years has cheated on me 3 times. You guys are sick people. You're laughing. I keep getting back with her. Should I forgive her 70 times 7 or just move on?
Forgiveness and getting back with someone are very different things. That's all I'm going to say. But
Sure.
I think the answer to the question is yes and yes.
You should forgive and you should break up. Yep.
We are commanded to forgive. That's something that Jesus did, and we say we want to be like Jesus, so we need to forgive. We have learned in the time that we've been married that forgiveness does not mean that you are suddenly a doormat for somebody.
Right.
And so trust has to be earned. And if somebody has not earned that trust, in fact, if they have earned the opposite and they're repeated offenders, I would kindly tell them to leave instead of allowing them to offend me more and more and more. Just because we're Christians doesn't mean that we have to lay down and allow whatever to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty significant red flag if in your dating life, in a season when you're seeing how life could look together, this is happening over and over. You've heard the saying, forgive and forget. I say forgive her and then forget about her. That's probably how you should move forward with that particular case. But, I think it brings up maybe the last question. I'm going to ask you to speak to this, Anjali, is that's a pretty significant red flag. And sometimes in dating, we have the propensity to just overlook red flags in hopes that it'll get better, in hopes that things will turn out. Can you speak to that a little bit, Anjali? I know your story lends itself to that.
Some people know this part of my testimony, but for others that don't, when Kenneth and I first started dating, I let him know early on that I married young and divorced young. I saw red flags before I ever got married, my first marriage. I saw red flags and completely ignored them because I thought that it would change after the marriage. I thought it would get better, and the truth of the matter is they're red flags for a reason. So if somebody is cheating on you or physically abusing you or whatever the case is, psychologically abusing you, we can call it a red flag, right? That's a red flag, duh. You don't stay with someone who's abusing you. But that's something that I didn't have the courage to look at those red flags. And again, that trust wasn't earned with me, but I gave it anyway. I gave myself to that. And as a result, I suffered in the long run because I had to go through that relationship knowing that was not the person I was supposed to be with. I was spending time with somebody who was not actually my husband. I was not supposed to be with that person. And it turned into just a lot of turmoil. And as a result, ended up having this big scarlet letter on my chest, not given by God, given by myself, because I didn't heed the warnings. But God is so faithful, and He forgave, He renewed, He restored, anything you can think of. He rewrote my story. And so as a result, I know that, come on, there's a lot of women and men in here tonight that are probably in relationships that they should not be in. Point blank, probably shouldn't be there. And if you know that that person is not God's best, His very, very best for you, then don't do it. Get out. Break it off. Break it up. Yeah.
The fear of the pain of a breakup is usually what keeps us there. But what Anjali's sharing is a pain that far surpassed the pain of a breakup. Walking through divorce, walking through healing, I know others in the room would have that story as well. And so thank you guys for sharing honestly, and thank you, Anjali, for sharing that part of your life as well with us. And my prayer is that it helps some people. You helped tonight? Awesome. Let's give it up for these guys. Let's thank them.